our defensive streamers for week 8. We've been on fire with these so far this year. I hope we keep the good times rolling. Starting with a name I always go with. Green Bay Packers still somehow out there in well over half of leagues, whether you're on Yahoo, whether you're on Sleeper. They get Jacksonville, which has not actually been the best of matchups. They're not great on offense, but Trevor Lawrence, for all his faults, he's actually protecting the ball decently well. But I still see a Packers team third in total fantasy points on the year. And sure, they just are coming off their season low in fantasy production, just 4 points against Houston, but they only gave up 22 total points, 4 sacks. I mean, they played really well on defense, getting Stroud all confused. They're still averaging over 11 points per game on defense. 17 forced turnovers are the highest mark in the league so far. And again, even though Lawrence protects the ball okay, they do give up a bunch of sacks. The Packers have 20 sacks through their 7th game, which is tied for the 6th most, while Jacksonville's allowed 17 sacks so far. They have the 27th ranked line by Pro Football Focus. And really, what has this Packers defense just been lights out on? It's second half. Their defensive shifts have been phenomenal. They've only allowed 22 total points in their last 5 games combined in the second half. That is A+. That is phenomenal. So this is the defense, similar to the Vikings light, I would say, like a diet Vikings defense. They just get it done no matter what the matchup is, but they just don't have that respect on their name quite yet. So I do love going Packers defense. You miss on them, though, out there in almost every league is the Detroit Lions, 15% rostered on Sleeper, 21% rostered on Yahoo. We have Aiden Hutchinson out. And how do the boys respond for Detroit? 4 sacks, an interception against a good Vikings offense here, propelling them to victory. Solid. And now they are the 11th ranked defense through 7 weeks. Haven't been anything overly special, but a top 12 unit in fantasy so far. And we've seen the ceiling. Just 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys, they held them to 9 points. They had 5 turnovers to Detroit. They put up 18 fantasy points as a defense. And now they get the best possible matchup you can ask for. No team has given up more points to opposing defenses than the Titans. 11 points per game on average. They've surrendered. 12 turnovers is second most in the league behind only Vegas. Sacks are right up there in the top 5 in the league. And sure, Mason Rudolph came in last week. Was it better? Yeah, he had nowhere really to go but they still gave up 13 defensive points in fantasy to the Buffalo Bills. Mason Rudolph threw 1 pick. He got sacked 3 times. It's not maybe the pick 6 machine of Will Levis, but it is still a great spot for this Detroit team at home as 10.5-point favorites. No team is allowed a higher pressure rate other than the Patriots compared to the Titans here this year. So this is definitely a great spot for them. Do also want to shout out, though, the Los Angeles Chargers. They are, I have them ranked ahead of the Lions actually this week. Started out real hot this year, 14-11 points. They've been largely mediocre since. But what will get you right? A matchup with the Saints, especially if they are led by Spencer Rattler. They've given up the last 2 weeks 17 and 20 fantasy points to Tampa Bay and Denver. 5 and 6 sacks surrendered in each of those games, a touchdown surrendered in each of those games, and multiple turnovers to both of those defenses. This Saints line is decimated. Rattler's getting pressured beyond belief. I think this Chargers team at home is in a great spot to rebound. Now, if Derek Carr does play, it does lower the ceiling. There's no doubt about it. But this is a far cry here for the Saints since they ultimately the record-setting start to the year with those back-to-back 48-point days. They have been absolutely pathetic. 7, 17, 7, 17, and 20 fantasy points since those first 2 games. Nice floor, great ceiling. Love the Chargers as a pickup, only available. They're only 42% rostered on Yahoo, 36% rostered on Sleeper. The last defense I will just toss out here are the Chiefs. I know on Yahoo they do not make that 50% threshold, 62% rostered on Yahoo, but I've seen them dropped in a handful of my leagues. They're also only 34% rostered on Sleeper. And they're getting a Raiders team that's given up the 2nd most fantasy points to defenses. They've given up the most turnovers per game. Since they lost Devontae Adams, they have been 11, 16, 13, and 17 points allowed to defenses. Minshew came right in and did what he does best, throwing some picks last week with Aiden O'Connell banged up. This is a great spot for your Chiefs defense that's generating great pressure, mostly through Chris Jones. Definitely an opportunistic defense. Really, really like the Chiefs. In fact, I would have them ranked above all of these options. I just wanted to toss them out there again. But if I was ranking them, it would be Chiefs, then Packers, then the Chargers, assuming it's Rattler, and then the Lions. But all of these defenses are well inside my top 10. Great picks for this week in week 8 to get you what you need. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.